Good morning, honorable members and those under the sound of my voice. In our Moments of Impact devotional segment, I'll be sharing a devotion today entitled, Everyone Has to Eat. As a nation, the time has come for us to rise to the next level and adhere to the principle of no one left behind. The principle of no one left behind represents equity. It means no one should be disadvantaged or disenfranchised due to their economic, social, or political status. Sadly, in our country, over the years, many Bahamians have been left behind because of their economic, social, or political status. As a nation, we must cease and desist from this barbaric behavior and do a better job at treating all of our citizens with compassion, with empathy, and respect, irregardless of their statuses. The truth of the matter is, every Bahamian deserves to not only sit at the proverbial table, but to also eat from it. One of the greatest leadership lessons we can learn from Jesus is the importance of leading with equity. I recall a story in Matthew chapter 14. Most of you know it as the feeding of the 5,000, where Jesus boarded a ship and went into a desert place to grieve the death of his beloved cousin John. And when the people heard thereof, they followed him on foot out of the cities. And when it was evening, the disciples came to him saying, "This is a desert place, and the time is now past. Send the multitude away, that they may go into the villages and buy themselves victuals." The disciples were sending the multitudes away because they were very selfish and only concerned about feeding who was a part of their inner circle. But Jesus said unto them, "They need not depart. Give ye them to eat." Jesus rebuked his disciples and said, "Everyone has to eat." The disciples of Jesus were skewed in their thinking. They only wanted to feed their cronies. And they said unto him, "We only have but 5 loaves and 2 fishes. So they were now implying that what they had was not sufficient for everyone else. But Jesus said to them, "Bring hither to me." And he commanded the multitude to sit down on the grass, and took the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, and looking up to heaven, he blessed and brake and gave thanks to his mighty God, and then the loaves to his disciples, and the disciples to the multitudes. And they did all eat and were filled. And they took up the fragments that remained, 12 baskets full. The moral of this story: every human matters, irregardless of who they are, who they're connected to, what they believe, or what they bring to the table. I leave you with this final thought today. As a nation, let us all follow the Jesus leadership model and ensure that no one is left behind, because everyone has to eat. Selah. Think and act on these things. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we exalt and we lift your name on high. We thank you today, Almighty God, for your excellent goodness toward us. We ask today, Lord, that you would forgive us of our sins and cleanse us from all unrighteousness. We pray for your grace and mercy to continually be extended toward us. Father, we pray for your divine covering over our nation. We ask that you would keep and preserve our nation from the evil one. We pray today that no one in our nation will be left behind, irregardless of their economic, social, or political status. We pray that every Bahamian will have an opportunity to not only sit at the table, but also to eat from it. Now, Father, we pray for our political leaders. They are mere men and women whom you've placed a great level of responsibility upon. We pray today, Lord, as they lead this nation, Almighty God, grant them strength, grant them wisdom, grant them the courage needed to lead this great people. Almighty God, make your face to shine upon our political leaders. And now finally today, Lord, we ask that you would superintend the affairs of this honorable house today, and let everything be done in decency and in order. O Lord, continue to bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And all of God's people say, amen. Let us pray the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Chester Cooper, Fred Mitchell, Dennis Hannah Martin, Alfred Sayers, Dr. Michael Darville, Clay Sweeting, Keith Bell, Wayne Monroe, Vaughn Miller, Jobeth Colby Davis, Ginger Moxie, Mario Boleg, Jomo Campbell, Basil McIntosh, Miles LaRoda, Pia Glover Rowe, Lisa Ramming, Zane Lightbourne, Dr. Hubert Minnis, Jamal Strawn, John Pinder, Marcus Roll, Leon Lundy, Kirk Cornish, Wade Watson, Leonardo Lightbourne, Leslie Miller Bryce, Leroy Major, Sylvanus Petty, Michael Bonnaby, Michael Pintard, James Quasi Thompson, Aram Lewis, Shannon Dawn Cartwright, Adrian Gibson, Adrian White, Kingsley Smith.
Good morning, honorable members. Honorable members, I am pleased today to be able to announce that the parliamentary service has reached a milestone set by itself and also reinforced by the Parliamentary Service Act passed by the Parliament in 2023. The service has been mandated to produce timely transcriptions of debates in Parliament, inclusive of the House of Assembly and the Senate. Today, we are going to share transcripts of the last 3 meetings of this House. Please be advised that we will be transitioning to a paperless system, so in the future, transcripts will be accessible to members online. Please join me in offering congratulations to the staff of the Parliamentary Service and specifically the staff of the Hansard Department for this major achievement. And these are the copies of already prepared transcriptions ready for anybody who is willing to have one. Thank you so much. I'd also like to congratulate and thank all of the women of the House of Assembly who was there with the Honorable Senate, President of the Senate and I to really bring greetings and welcome to all of the members who have joined us here in country for the Caribbean Women's Parliamentary Workshop. And I'd also like to thank our sole male, Minister Bell, who was there. We really appreciated your presence. We appreciate and love you. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your unwavering support. And I also hear the tingling of things inside the gallery, and I would like to say welcome to our Carifta team of 2025. Seven already in the heavens, and 8 will be great. Thank you all. Now, we will move on to the people's business. Introduction and swearing of new members. Laying of documents by ministers. The chair recognizes the honourable member for Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador.
Madam Speaker, I beg leave to lay on the table of the House a copy of the Public Debt Management Bahamas Registered Stock 2027, 2029, 2032, 2034, 2044, and 2054, Directions 2025.
Thank you, honourable member. Order the document be brought up. Order the document do lie on the table. For the laying of documents, the chair recognizes the honourable member for Freetown.
Madam Speaker, I beg leave to lay on the table of the House a copy of the following: the Royal Bahamas Police Force Commissioners Policing Plan 2025.
Thank you, honourable member. Order that the document be brought up. Order that the document do lie on the table. For the laying of documents? Thank you, honourable member. Statement and communications by ministers. The chair recognizes the honourable member for Freetown.
Madam Speaker, it gives me pleasure to rise in this place to make a statement as I welcome to this chamber the young man Marcus Nabi, please stand Marcus, who is the winner of the Urban Renewal National Speech Competition. And he was representing, Madam Speaker, it would be no surprise to anyone in this House, the Freetown Urban Renewal. And they have accompanied Mr. Nabi, Inspector Coakley, the police lead and center manager, Mr. Peggy McKinsey, and the staff of the Urban. Madam Speaker, this is perhaps an August day for this House where we are celebrating the accomplishment of young people. Yes. And it is full demonstration that our futures are all bright. And as I like to say, we can retire in peace, knowing that there are people coming up behind us to pay our pensions. But Mr. Nabi, Madam Speaker, is a 12th grade student of the Temple Christian School, where he is president of the debate club. He has an ambition to follow me into this great house and to follow the member for Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador into that great office. He is steadily preparing, and he's from Cat Island now. That's Cat Island roots. Oh. There you go. He has, Madam Speaker, already begun. He is president of his Junior Achievement Club, and he's won second place in the speech competition. I'm pulling for him to follow me as most distinguished achiever. I achieved that in 1985. I'm trusting that many years later, I wouldn't count the number. He achieves that in 2025. Madam Speaker, he's a well-rounded young man. He is a junior volunteer at his church, Bahamas Harvest. He's a member of the Bahamas Youth and Leadership Development Program, which is led by Mr. Shivago Lang. He's a member of the Gentlemen's Club, and his academic ambition is to study business administration and airport management so that he can give back to this great country of ours, which has airports spread across its length and breadth. Madam Speaker, it is a great comfort to an old man that one can see young people doing well. And I would only, Madam Speaker, encourage Bahamians to speak life over our young people, to stop choosing the one or two bad apples, to seek to denigrate them all. They, by their efforts, have shown that by and large, by and large, they are doing positive things in this country. And as the member for Garden Hills will demonstrate on the world stage, we have nothing to be ashamed of in our young people in this country. We have nothing to be ashamed of, much to be proud of. And Madam Speaker, for my part, I would wish to commend young Mr. Nabi and in advance the great athletes on both the Carifta track and field and aquatics team. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Further statement and communications? The Chair recognizes the Honourable Member for Garden Hills.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it's always a privilege of mine, an honor to stand in these hollow halls to represent the great people of the constituency of Garden Hills, and by nation, the greatest young group of people, not only in the Caribbean, but in the world. Yes. Madam Speaker, I would like to recognize swim and track and field, Carifta, and I call them championship teams from the 2025 Carifta Games in Trinidad and Tobago inside the chambers here today. And also leading them, along with the coaches and the athletes, is the president of the B3A, Tramiko Archer, president of NACAC, Mike Sands, and I see the CEO of Alive, Mr. Gomez. If I give you the wrong name, tell him I promote you. Director of Sport, Kelsey Johnson Sales, and the PS of the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, Neil Campbell. And I see Undersecretary Montez Williams, who is the Undersecretary at Agriculture, but he still loves the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, and so he's here present. And so I just want to recognize them today. But Madam Speaker, the youth of today are the champions of tomorrow. Their dreams, courage, and unwavering spirit are the forces that will shape the future of sports. In every sporting arena, in every training session, young athletes are not just honing their skills, they are building character, resilience, and the foundation of greatness. Every child who looks to their heroes with hope carries with them the spark of possibility, the power to break barriers and redefine what is possible. It is through their perseverance in the face of adversity and their relentless pursuit of excellence that the legends of tomorrow will rise. As mentors, communities, and leaders, we must stand beside them, nurturing their passion, opening doors of opportunity, and celebrating every step of their journey. For in their hands lies not just the future of sports, but the timeless spirit of determination, unity, and human potential at its very best. Madam Speaker, over the Easter holiday weekend, 120 Bahamian athletes, draped in the bold colors of aquamarine, black, and gold, went to Trinidad and Tobago, not just as competitors, but as warriors of national pride. With every stride, stroke, jump, splash, and throw, they carried the spirit of over 400,000 Bahamians on their shoulders, standing tall as a beacon of unity, strength, and purpose. This was more than sports. It was a statement, a declaration, and a reminder that the heart of the Bahamas beats loud and proud on any stage. In an extraordinary display of commitment, the coordination of 3 chartered planes lifted this dream into the skies. A movement so powerful it couldn't be contained in numbers alone. This wasn't just a team. It was a national force that invaded the southern Caribbean island. Madam Speaker, there's a famous quote that says, "Out of a few, many will rise." And rise they did. With discipline, passion, and grace, the Carifta Aquatics and track and field teams represented more than themselves. They represented what's possible when a small nation dares to dream big and moves as one. These young champions weren't just wearing the flag. They were lifting it higher than ever before. Madam Speaker, make no mistake, the region is on notice. There's a young man named Dexter Russell, just 12 years old, a sensation from Grand Bahama. Dexter, you here? Please stand. This young man, Madam Speaker, didn't just show up. He dominated. 5 gold medals. Including the pivotal role he played in a record-breaking relay team. At just 12 years old, he is already rewriting the script. Then there's Sienna Campbell. Is Sienna here? 12 years old, again, a force in the pool, who walked away with 2 gold medals, 2 bronze medals, proving she's a name we will be hearing for years to come. Alex Murray added to the medal haul with 3 individual podium finishes. Adam, you here? Alex, you here? Yeah. David Singh, yeah? You can sit down, Alex. Thank you. And then David Singh showcased his versatility and grit, earning gold, silver, and bronze across his individual events. And these are just a few of the standout athletes who powered the Bahamas to its 7th consecutive title. Yes. This isn't luck. This is a legacy in the making. The future of Caribbean swimming is here, and it is draped in aquamarine, black, and gold. Madam Speaker, under the leadership of team manager Celeste Dowell and the expert guidance of coaches like Giovanni McPhee, Jasmine Gibson, and Alan Murray, Team Bahamas delivered a commanding performance, capturing the title with an astonishing 979 points over the 4 days intense competition. Team Bahamas was very impressive with 74 medals, 27 golds, 23 silvers, and 24 bronze. They showcased the depth, determination, and dominance in the pool. Madam Speaker, the country's dominance wasn't just limited to the pool. I would be remiss if I don't mention that our swimmers also took to the open waters and made waves in there as well. This shows our versatility. And Madam Speaker, if they were to bring back the water polo, we would mash them up again, but they wouldn't bring it back. We're hoping for that. Madam Speaker, for the Bahamas, Carifta is more than just a tradition. Our name is etched into its very fabric, where the bold strides are taken on the track and the monumental splashes are made in the pool. Time and again, Bahamian athletes have stepped onto this stage, not just to compete, but to elevate the standard, inspire generations, and propel the Caribbean forward. While our track and field team may not have claimed the overall title, their performance was nothing short than historic, with 37 medals. This was the second most medals in the history of the Bahamas at these games. They finished with 16 golds, 13 silver, and 8 bronze. And like I said, it was the best showing since 1984. Madam Speaker, in 2000 at the Sydney Olympic Games, and again in 2012 at the London Olympic Games, the world stood still as the Bahamas crossed the finish line ahead of giants like the United States and Jamaica. Fast forward to 2025, 13 years later. A young man named Egan Neely. Egan, stand up. Madam Speaker, I don't ever want to offend this man. And I encourage the country don't to offend him unless you have the transportation to get away. Or he will catch you, Madam Speaker. He will catch you and run you down. And Madam Speaker, I just want to bring to the attention, we were behind in the under-17 4x1. Jamaica was ahead, and Egan run him down. Madam Speaker, we moved to the 4x4. Egan got the stick. The Jamaican run past Egan. Egan wait till he get to the 100 mark and say, you all right? And then he run him down and finish the race. Madam Speaker, I can tell you, unless you're in transportation, he will catch you. There's another young man named Zion Miller who made the Caribbean stop in its track. If Zion gets the stick before you, it's over. Madam Speaker, when they were naming the Austin Seeley Award, I thought the Bahamas was going to get 2 and 1 with Zion and Egan. But anyway, something happened. The calculator wasn't working in. They give it to somebody else. But I want the Bahamas nation to know these are our 2 Austin Seeley Awards. And had they put it on record, Madam Speaker, it would have been the first time in history a male from the Bahamas would have ever won that award. Madam Speaker, their electrifying final leg in the relay solidified the Bahamas as a powerhouse in the event. We didn't just compete. We reminded the Caribbean and the world that we never left. We served notice that the Bahamas is here, and we are not going anywhere, and we are now considered the best quarter milers back then in the world and coming. Madam Speaker, some may think the Bahamas is only a force on the track. I am here to tell them that they have got another thing coming. Our field athletes are a powerhouse in their own rights. A 1-2 punch, Madam Speaker, I could see every time we get on the field, whether it's in the javelin, whether it's in the discus or whatever, another 1-2 punch in the long jump. Of course, Elizabeth, your good girl was there. Diore was right there. So other than the javelin and the long jump, and when we couldn't deliver the double, we let the individual performance stun them. A new junior national record in the short put, a record-breaking performance in the pole vault, and dominance in the triple jump and discus. Diore is here?
Yeah, she is.
You can't, Diore, you can't let me. I don't see your counterpart, Ms. Stubbs. She is in here, right? No, okay. Yeah, Keisha going to school today. All right. Anybody else, Elizabeth? Madam Speaker, what makes these achievements truly extraordinary is the context in which they were earned. The Bahamas continues to outperform nations many times our size. With limited numbers, but limitless heart, we have consistently delivered world-class results. And while medals serve as a cherished symbols Our athletes are doing far more than collecting accolades. They are climbing the global ranks. In several events, they now stand among the top 50 in the world. Madam Speaker, let me just say, but the under 20 4x4, they record the 5th fastest time in the world, our under 20 4x4, in that age category. So that tells me. So that tells me 2028 Olympics and 2032 Olympics, Prime Minister, we will be looking for some medals in the quarter milers and in our 4x4 relay team once again. We are living a reminder to the region and to the world that greatness is not defined by population size, but by the power of potential fulfilled. To our athletes, you did not simply compete, you led, you inspired, you carried the hopes of a nation and lifted them higher. Your courage and commitment remind us all of what is possible, and for that, we thank you. Madam Speaker, to the executive team, coaches, and parents, you are the driving force behind our rising stars. And Madam Speaker, we had 3 charters. I want you to know one charter was just full with fans. We had more Bahamians in Trinidad than I think Trinidad had in the stadium. And so I want you to know our colors was raising so high. And you know, they had this conkalaka thing they was making noise. So we made a call, and then the Junkanoo come, and everybody going to the Junkanoo. So it tells we even allowed our culture to shine bright wherever we go, and that's why every time we travel with Carifta teams, we take our Junkanoo Congos with us. Madam Speaker, I'd also like to thank Mr. Algernon Cargill and his executive teams for their leadership has etched a legacy that I believe will remain unmatched in the region. To Dromico Archer and his executive team, your efforts are shaping the future of Bahamian sport, and indeed the future of our Olympic dreams. This is not just a moment of celebration. It is a defining chapter in our nation's sporting history, and the best, Madam Speaker, is still to come. Amen. That is why this administration is serious about investing in our youth. It is not just a gesture. It is a national priority and commitment to our future. Madam Speaker, each year the government of the Bahamas reaffirms this promise by ensuring our young athletes have the resources and support they need to succeed, including the provision of a chartered flight to the Carifta Games and financial assistance through grants to the 2 federations. This dedication is then mirrored by the generosity contributions by corporate Bahamas. Madam Speaker, everybody keep asking, what we doing for these athletes? What we doing for these, I call them athletes, they ain't kids, these athletes, student athletes. Madam Speaker, I am so happy the partnership with Alive, who has determined, and I want to thank Alive before I even say this. I want to thank Alive for always being a decent and supporting corporate sponsor to the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture. Madam Speaker, Alive has agreed to give each medalist representing Team Bahamas, whether it's aquatics or track and field, a phone device, athletes, a phone device complimentary with 1 month service package that you will be able to talk and WhatsApp till Jesus come. So I hope that you could use this phone device, and again, let's thank Alive for that. We also sent that in all, I forget to mention now, I almost forget this, but athletes, the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture would provide every one of you who was a part, the whole 120 athletes, with a gift certificate from John Bull. So you can go to John Bull and get what you want. I also want to take this opportunity to extend our sincere thanks to Bahamas Air for their unwavering commitment and generosity support to ensuring our athletes can embark on this important journey. Madam Speaker, we the only country that shows up to every Carifta in their own plane. And then we have countries that call us and say if they could catch a ride, which we have no problem. They all are brothers and sisters. So we give them a ride and make sure that they perform well. Sometimes what we have in our athlete skill set rub off on them. But another gratitude extended beyond the track. The coaches, trainers, and medical teams, the backbone of every performance, will be honored with a well-deserved, this is for the coaches and the managers now, with a well-deserved day pass to Breezes Resort, which is just a small gesture for them to get together and celebrate themselves and reminisce on the days of past and the good days to come. And I'd also like to thank Super Club Breezes, who's also been the backbone support of the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture in all of our events to ensure that they host all of these athletes as they come in the national or international events. Madam Speaker, let it be known that 7 in a row was no easy feat. It was earned through early mornings, grilling workouts, personal sacrifices, and the unwavering belief that greatness lives within us. The celebration is not only about 37 medals brought home. These medals are the bricks in a foundation for a house that will shelter future generations of champions, leaders, and world changers. Carifta 2025 is a chapter in a larger story, one of national excellence, resilience, and the unstoppable spirit of Bahamian youth. Madam Speaker, every medal won, every baton pass, and pad touched was a reflection of national pride and unshakable determination. These athletes made history, not just with their speed and strength, but with their heart. Let us all continue to support, celebrate, and invest in our youth, because when they rise, the Bahamas rise with them. Yes. Together, we are one people, one team, and one unstoppable nation. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Member.
To all members of Parliament that we have a signature board downstairs in the foyer, and we ask all members to please sign that board for remembrance of these great Carifta team. Also, Madam Speaker, I would like to table this ad tabled by the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, full-page ad, congratulating our Carifta team, and let them know that we support them, and the future looks bright. And we're not just here to celebrate them when they succeed and be successful, but we are here on the entire journey, because at the end of the day, we do care, and the future that builds the gap between the past and present is which we need them for. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to table.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Order that the document and the communication be brought up. Order that the document and the communication be to lie on the table. Thank you. The chair recognizes the Honourable Member for Marathon.
Madam Speaker, I will be very brief, less than a minute. I would also like to congratulate the Carifta teams, but personally, I share history with the swim team, and so I'm very excited every time I hear about the swimming, because my daughter used to swim. She was trained by Travano McPhee and Alan Murray. And I can tell you that these coaches work relentlessly. I know about getting up 5 a.m. in the morning for years, but now I get up 5 a.m. doing something else. And so we're not swimming anymore. And so I would also, like the wider Bahamas to know that these two coaches, they have their kids in their swim club who also performed at Carifta. And the same love and the effort that I see them put in their kids, they put in the kids in the swim team. And so I would like the whole swim team to stand up. Those in the white, the swim team, please stand, Travano. Coach Murray, to the back. I thank you too. I really would like to thank you for all that you have done, even for my daughter who is being disciplined through your swimming. She's now disciplined in another sport, and it's because of your program. I thank you so much. And of course, Madam Speaker, you may be seated. I would like to calculate. You know, when you go to Olympics, it's calculated which country won the Olympics. So I sat down about this, but I didn't want to talk about it until Mario spoke about it today. So the Bahamas got 979 points in swimming, 37 medals in track and field. So the Bahamas point for Carifta is 1,016. Jamaica got 795 and 50 in swimming and 78 medals in track and field. Jamaica got 873.50 in total. So the Bahamas has won Carifta for 2025, in my view. Let's give it up for the Bahamas. So you did a wonderful job. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Second. Thank you, Honourable Member. The Chair recognizes the Honourable Member for Central Grand Bahama.
Very much, Madam Speaker. I also stand to congratulate this team, being a former ACCOI, being a former athlete. And Madam Speaker, when they walked into the Parliament this morning, it sounded like a jungle group because of the amount of collect we heard going on from the medals around their neck. So we want to say thank you for inspiring us. We're supposed to be inspiring you, but you have inspired not only us, but an entire nation. I also, Madam Speaker, want to congratulate those who are giving back and see how important it is to give back. When I look at Mr. Mike Sands, who have been in this sport forever as an athlete, I myself, I'm a two-time Olympian who's given back. I followed in the steps of Mike Sands and others before me. Mike has served as an athlete, as an administrator, and now regionally. So people like Mike ought to be commended. I see Trevano McPhee, who I watched grow up as a child, Jamaica Archer, Alan Murray, who also was an Olympian, along with myself. I look at Dion, Sharon, Bernard, the entire team. Thank you for giving back, for pouring back, into Kelsey also, I'm sorry, for also being a former athlete and now giving back to our country. It's important to take care of yourself, and to continue to inspire those behind you. When I look at Mr. Sands, who's almost 80 years old now, he's been around forever. But if you look at Mike, Mike has been around forever. But Mike Sands looks younger and is healthier than most of us. And Mike has inspired me because I will tell you, on Saturday I'll be turning 60 years old. Yes, and I learned to take care of myself also. So I want to encourage you, stay away from drugs, stay away from alcohol, stay away from smoking, take care of yourself, and continue to inspire the nation. So once again, Madam Speaker, thank you for this opportunity, and I want to say to you once again, thank you so much for what you've done. Sorry, Pauline, I can't miss you. The golden girl in the back, who's also my sister. Thank you all for your contribution. Continue to inspire the nation as we continue to pave the way to make it easier for you, as the minister said. Once again, congratulations, and may God bless you all.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The Chair recognizes the Honourable Member for Marco City.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I'd like to join my colleagues opposite with respect to congratulating both the aquatics as well as the athletics team on another successful Carifta. The Bahamas has consistently performed extremely well in Carifta, and we want to let all of the young people know how much we love you and we are proud of your accomplishment. Madam Speaker, I would not be the traditional Bahamian who like to say things like, I have a couple of relatives who competed as well. But since you gave me permission to say so, I do have Skylar on the aquatics team, of course, is my great-grandniece. I believe I'm that old. And then we also have, I believe, Jericho is here as well, and of course all of us have adopted Dawn, and just to let you know how much we love you and we appreciate all that you're doing academically, athletically. Madam Speaker, I'd like to congratulate all of the coaches and all of the members of the Federation who are present, as well as the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture staff. One of the reasons we often stand in solidarity with our brothers, at least two members are here on this side, and of course the other side, are former ministers of youth, sport, and culture. And we know how hard all of you work to make sure that the things that are necessary to facilitate the development of athletics, that those things are in fact provided. Madam Speaker, what struck me in terms of watching the races is how many Bahamians, whether they were in the banks, whether they were at work somewhere else, or they were at home, the amount of Bahamians that were screaming and shouting for all of you. People who didn't know each other in the bank was giving high fives, talking to folks who they'd never spoken to before. You inspired the entire country by what you did. And it wasn't, the inspiration wasn't just because a number of you won. There were persons who weren't winning, weren't coming second, weren't coming third, but you were fighting all the way to the finish line. And the majority of our population sometimes are not coming first, second, or third, but they're fighting every day to get to the finish line in whatever area of life there is. And that inspired many persons. I thought it was wise for the team, the entire Carifta team support system, to strategically locate yourself in track and field at the finish line. I thought it was actually brilliant for persons to be running home and to see this sea of Bahamians there shouting and screaming. We also admire the way you inspired us from coming from behind. It's interesting, we talk about what Egan and others did in terms of getting the baton after others and coming from behind. I want you to know, you inspired the F&M, because we know that we are about to come from behind as well. And so, just want to let you know. So, but we were inspired. We were inspired that no matter where you got the baton, every one of you ran extremely hard to make sure that we succeeded as a country. And so I want to say that on behalf of my wife, who called me and asked me if I saw the pen relays, she called me at work. She's busy, I'm busy, and she is extremely excited by what was done at the pen relays, and I know that some members of the team also participated there, and we want to let you know you inspired all of us. Finally, let me say this, that as young people, you are the best spokespersons in talking to the rest of the country in your age bracket. All of us in here, we make a contribution, but you are more effective than us when you talk to 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds. And the reason is, when we talk about character, you are showing it. You are competing, and you're competing clean. So you're doing it the right way. You're playing within the lines. And we need that example. You can do a better and more effective job than us. And so you are leaders not of tomorrow. All of you are leaders right now. Secondly, we have a problem with obesity in the country. We have a problem with non-communicable diseases. Athletics is a way to get our people in shape. You are leading the way once again. So now you could talk to adults about healthy lifestyle habits. And the truth of the matter is, some of us, I used to play basketball with the Deputy Prime Minister, Chester Cooper, Miles LaRota, one of the ministers, we played basketball together. There is a camaraderie you develop for a lifetime because of the sports relationships that you establish. And many of you will get scholarships, and I believe all of you, if you desire, you will get scholarships to go to university. So athletics opened the door for you to get a free education as well. And then, of course, it creates employment. So many of you will coach in the Bahamas and around the world. So on so many levels, you are effective spokespersons. And so I hope that the government would also provide contracts to the coaches, the elite athletes who are now coaching in aquatics and athletics, so that you can continue to provide leadership for the rest of the country. So on behalf of my wife, who's still chairing, Burley's, and the entire Free National Movement family, we want to say congratulations, God bless you, and we love you.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Central and South Eleuthera.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also would like to join my colleagues in congratulating the Carifta team on doing such a wonderful job. You know, we at Eleuthera won a gold medal as well. Jazzy Johnson, under 17, gold medal. So we want to congratulate the whole team, and Eleuthera for sure was cheering on Jazzy. Now, this past weekend, Madam Speaker, in Exuma, we held the 69th National Family Island Regatta. We continue to develop the sport, and over the past 4 years, with the government's investment in naming it the national sport and putting money where our mouth is, we have increased boats from 70 registered sloops to over 100 sailing sloops at the National Family Island Regatta. So I want to congratulate Commodore Dallas Knowles and his team, sponsors, everybody at the regatta desk and Family Island Affairs, as well as the ministry. I want to congratulate Commodore Emeritus Danny Strawn, who was the only Commodore Emeritus of the National Family Island Regatta, who was the Commodore for that regatta over 30 years, so we want to congratulate him. We want to congratulate the winners in the Class A. Silent Partner was first, Tidal Wave was second, Rough Justice was third. In the Class B, Lonesome Dove was first, and Diva was second. He must be from Abaco. And Lady Sonia was third. In Class C, H2O was first, Bull Red second, It Ain't Right third, and in the Class E, Lady Anne Marie first, Mako second, and Lady Kayla third. I want to congratulate the team at Sugarloaf, who placed 8th, who was the defending champs, but they continue to develop the Eleuthera Sailing Academy. I want to thank them for that. We also, Madam Speaker, held the annual Ministers' Cup race. We want to congratulate the member for Central and South Abaco for coming first. We'll have to ensure that we provide him with that trophy. Madam Speaker, the member for Central and South Eleuthera comes second. The defending champ was way behind at third. The defending champ, the member for Exuma and the Ragged Islands. The third, Honorable Zane Lightburn, who sailed, so John Pender sailed, member for Central South Abaco sailed the Crazy Partner. I sailed the H2O from Black Point. Madam Speaker, he wanted me to say that. The member for Exuma and Ragged Islands sailed the Miss Rui, finishing third. The member of Parliament for Yamakra sailed the King of Knights and was fourth. Ackland's boat. And the member of Parliament for Nassau Village and Senator Randy Rhodes sailed the Spray Hill, I think. Sprayhound, sorry. Sprayhound. They come fifth. And then I want to put this delicately, Madam Speaker. The member for Freetown, and the member for Mount Moriah was the first mate, Madam Speaker. They did not finish, Madam Speaker. The boat sank, Madam Speaker. But I could tell you, it speaks to the character of both members because they could swim, number one. Number two, they loyal because they went down with the ship, Madam Speaker. So we look forward to next year's, the 70th National Family Island Regatta, which would be a culmination of where we're at in sailing. We want to thank the Member of Parliament for Cat Island, Rum Key, and San Salvador for attending, also the member for Marco City, the leader of opposition for also attending the National Family Island Regatta. It's a good function that brings together Bahamians from all walks of life, from all family islands and New Providence to speak about sportsmanship, camaraderie, and to also put some economic investment there in Axoma. So we want to congratulate the team, and we look forward to next year, where we'll culminate the 70th annual National Family Island Regatta. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The Chair recognizes the Honourable Member for Engliston.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I just wanted to say a few words to the team here assembled and to the young man here for his performance, Nabi, in the debate competition. I was not able to watch consistently the competition. I saw snippets of it. Unlike Marco City, where there was a lot of cheering and all of that, I didn't cheer. What I did was I began to analyze. But first of all, some of the performances stunned me. I couldn't say nothing. And then I began to watch the level of consistency in performance with the aquatics team and the track and field team. And it was mind-blowing. Because I don't think, and I think the Minister of Sports has pointed this out, I don't think we have seen this cohesive, coordinated, high-powered level of performance in a very, very, very long time in this country. And the thing I noted, apart from the skill and the discipline, all the stuff we know that goes into performance, the thing that always amazes me about our Bahamian athletes, and we saw it consistently with all of you, it is the absolute determination to make it happen. And I'll just single out Egan for an example, because I didn't see everything. But I watched this, he's in grade 10, by the way. I watched this young man, as was pointed out, come from behind. It didn't look like we were even in it, and leave everyone in the dust. It was just an amazing display of determination, resolve. And I think this is something that distinguishes our people. Maybe it distinguishes other people too. But I know about us. It distinguishes us. And it is why a nation of 400,000 plus is able to come to the fore in such a spectacular way in so many areas of endeavor. And in sports, we have been consistent over the years. And like Central Grand Bahama, he is an Olympian. And what year were you in Olympics? 96 and 2000. And so I think this is the only Olympian in the house, eh? But we ain't got no more. You're Olympian? You can be one. No, but I just wanted to congratulate you and to say to you that as young people, you set a standard, you put a pace in place, and the nation watched it, and it was elevating. It was elevating to an entire nation. And this is what we know about our young people. And the Minister of Sports and I are going to, and we've talked about this before, but we're going to do it very soon. We're going to sit down and see how we can work together to build strong sporting programs in our schools so that we can begin to in a more sustained way, develop athletes. Because I think we have an amazing stock of athletes. I was at the public primary school competition last week. And I was shocked to see those little children. And you know that they are coming up, and one day there'll be a Miller or a Neely or whoever the others are. They will be like that because you've set a standard for them. And actually, you are now the faces and names of a standard. So keep going. Work on your academics. As the member for Marco City said, college, university, that's next for all of you who wish to go. And I hope all of you, most of you wish to go. And your sport will take you there. Your gifts will open doors for you. Congratulations to all of you. Congratulations to Jamaica Archer and the names called for the swim team. I heard a few names. Who's the lead of the swim team? McPhee, Murray, all of you. Congratulations. What you are pouring into these young people, what you are yielding, is just an incredible sight. The Carifta Games was an elevating moment for our people. And we thank you and we encourage you to keep going, keep pushing, keep setting the pace, keep setting the standard, because we believe in you and we know the best is yet to come. Thank you very much.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Pine Ridge.
Join my colleagues in congratulating this amazing Carifta team. But I also want to recognize those from the Family Islands and Grand Bahama, because I think the journey is a little bit more because they have to travel and in order to do the trials. And I know sometimes it's a lot because they have to, raise funds and all that. So I would love for them to stand, everyone who's here from Grand Bahama and the Family Islands. The coaches as well, Yes. We had a huge team and they did amazingly well. And so congratulations. We'll continue to support you. The Ministry for Grand Bahama will continue to support you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, honorable member. The chair recognizes the honorable member for Seabreeze.
Good morning. I would also like to stand along with my colleagues and recognize all of the athletes that participated in Carifta. As a former Carifta athlete and a bronze medalist, I understand the dedication, the commitment, and the hard work that each of you would have put into being to where you are today. I would especially like to thank and congratulate Darren Rogers, who is a silver medalist, Caden Kemp, a bronze medalist, Tasia Stubbs, a gold medalist, and Jade Ferguson, a gold medalist, and they are all from the Seabreeze constituency. I would also like to congratulate Taylor Nichols, who would have won 4 medals in swimming, and she's also a resident of Seabreeze. I would like to congratulate my cousin Zion Miller, who has that Miller blood running through his veins, and for his talent, and to all of the athletes here today. I would also like to congratulate Miss Latika Charlton, who is the team manager for the Carifta team, and she's also a Seabreeze resident. So I'm proud of all of our athletes. Proud of all of our coaches, and just want to congratulate all of our coaches for your commitment and your hard work to our young athletes. And to our young athletes, keep up the good work. The best is yet to come.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Baines and Grandstown.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. It would be remiss of me if I was to sit and just allow all of these applause to rain out without acknowledging the athletes from Bain and Grandstown who did so tremendous. And I think Breon Ward is in the house. Stand up, Breon. She's a first-time member of the national team for the Grifter. And she did, I think you got two silvers and a bronze. 2 silvers and a bronze. So I want to congratulate you and all of the athletes from being in Grandstand. And again, Ms. Pauline Davis is in the house. She's also an Olympian from being in Grandstand. So we have a lot of talent. I could remember back in the days when the Carifta team was really and truly proliferated with the number of persons from being in Grandstand. We're trying to see how best we could do that again to get being in Grandstand to where it ought to be as it relates to the national team. But I also want to thank the coaches and the administrators who work so tirelessly with these young people, because in order to be an athlete, you have to be disciplined, but it's also important to be guided properly, especially with respect to the skills that help to hone the athlete into the person they ought to be. So I want to thank the entire team. My son and my daughter, they both swam the sea breeze and barracudas at one point, so I understand the 5 o'clock in the morning challenge, getting them to practices on a consistent basis. But, Madam Speaker, as a former athlete, I understand the discipline required in order to reach that maximum or that pinnacle. As a coach, I appreciate it. I also want to say thank you to my Garden Hills, who has a strong passion for sports and who has a strong passion for working with youth in this country. On behalf, no, we work together. He do the screaming and I do the analysis at the end of the day. But congratulations again, and especially to our beings in Grandstand, but all of the athletes who participated in the Grifter 2025. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The Chair recognizes the Honourable Member for Pinewood.
Speaker, I too would like to join the chorus of my parliamentary colleagues in wishing Team Bahamas, both the aquatics and track and field, on their performances. And while we are boasting, I guess I have to lend my voice. I think we all know who Jemiah Nabi is. From Pinewood, and although she's at QC, she came from the 9-time winning primary school in the country, Cleveland Indians, Golden Eagles. Thank you.
The Chair recognizes the Honourable Member.
Madam Speaker, I just failed to mention to add to what we've given these athletes is that my director had reminded me that we are offering all of these athletes, I hope their parents are listening, the first preference of summer employment with the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture. And so I also want to remind all of my colleagues in this honorable house that the Pancho-Rami Primary School Championships will be next week, and for the first time we have a special ed participation. And so we want you all to please come out. And please also note that there are other athletes in the square. So when we leave out here, please let's go and greet all of those other athletes and encourage them and take some pictures. And I will not sit down after all of my colleagues representing talk about their constituents. I don't want them to think that I had no constituents on the team. But I had Ishmael Roll, who's on the team from Garden Hills, and Danica Giddens, I know she's in here, who was in the 4x180. So they are my representative, but all of them are my people, all of them. All right, thank you, Madam Speaker. Also, the Member of Parliament, just keep pulling on my coat, so to remind the residents in Grand Bahama that I think by June, we just finalized the drawings for the pool in Grand Bahama. After reviewing the facility in Trinidad, we decided to make a few little tweaks. So once my good Member of Parliament, Ministry of Works approved that drawing, the Prime Minister and I will be in Grand Bahama to break the ground and to start construction. We're not putting shovels in the ground just for putting shovels in the ground. We ain't got time for that. We're going to put the shovel in the ground, and we can dig the foundation and start construction. So we hope to have that commenced by June of this year.
Thank you, Honourable Member.
Stop that.
We will now revert back to the order. Further statement and communication? Oh, you wanna? Okay. The chair recognizes the honorable member for Kalani.
I know I am late, but Madam Speaker, I just want to lend my voice to congratulate the athletes here today. They've made me proud, they've made the country proud, and they've made their parents and family very proud. I want to remind them that their success is not due just to you, but also your coaches, your family, especially your parents, because they would have been behind you 100%. And this paves the way for you for the future, because there are great opportunities for athletes not only here, but abroad. And athletics teaches you discipline, teaches you leadership, and prepare you for the future. So I want to personally congratulate you on your great success. Unfortunately, I can't swim as well as you do, but I'm sure that in the backstroke or dog paddle, I'd stay close to you. In the track and field, my knees, but not, Madam Speaker, this is very unusual. No, Madam Speaker, that was not Christ calling me, so I do apologize. But again, if I challenge you in a race, it would have to be a short distance because my knees would not allow me to go several miles unless we're doing walkathon. Then I would be able to keep it with you for even 10 or 15 miles, but at my pace. But again, congratulations. Continue to do well. Don't stop here. Take advantage of what will be offered to you. And hopefully, I would see you representing us in the Olympic. And the goal that you will bring home would be well appreciated. Congratulations, all athletes.
Thank you, honorable member. Further statement and communication, my ministers?
No further statements or communications.
Thank you, honorable member. Honorable member for Central and South Eleuthera, is there a way that you could give us a copy of your communication, if not today, by the next sitting, so we can.
Madam Speaker.
Thank you, honorable member. Communications by the clerk. Messages from the Governor General. Messages from the Senate. Motion for leave of absence, leave to resign seat, and new writs. Presentation of petitions. Presentation of reports of committees. Adoption of reports of committees. First reading of bills?
No first reading.
Thank you, honorable member. Second reading committee of bills? The chair recognizes the honorable member for Cat Island, Rockins, and South.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to have read and pass for the second time, the second reading, a bill for an act to amend the Executive Entities Act to provide for the regulation of certain executive entities by the Central Bank of the Bahamas and for matters incidental thereto. As a compendium, Madam Speaker, we also seek to have debate at the same time a bill for an act to amend the Banks and Trust Companies Regulation Act to provide for the regulation of executive entities by the Central Bank of the Bahamas and for matters incidental thereto. Madam Speaker, we seek to have those two bills debated at once, with the principal bill being the Act for the Amendment to the Executive Entities Act. Madam Speaker, I will begin today in this honorable House by expressing my gratitude to the many Bahamians doing excellent work in our financial services sector, and my gratitude shared by my colleagues for the opportunity the government has to partner with them in support of the industry. I open with that, Madam Speaker, but also would wish to add to my expression of gratitude to the athletes who sit here, who've made us all proud. I had the opportunity to address them on their return, and they know what I said to them then. Don't wish to repeat it now, but I just want them to remember how special we are, how unique we are, how rare we are as a people, as a Bahamian people. And I keep you, and you should carry that with you wherever you go. We are rare. We are special. We're only 400,000 out of over 8 billion. And look what we do. Look what we accomplish. We are on the top. So, Madam Speaker, moving on in respect to the bill, the bills before us represent another step forward in our journey to modernize this vital pillar of our economy. When we look at the Bahamas today, whether we are talking about our standing in the international community, the health of our economy, or the resilience of our financial services sector, we can see how far we have come in a relatively short amount of time. When this administration took office in September 2021, we inherited an economy in crisis. Our debt to GDP ratio has skyrocketed to over 100%. Our deficit to GDP ratio likewise skyrocketed to over 13%. And our GDP had plummeted after Hurricane Dorian, the COVID-19 pandemic, and I add fiscal mismanagement. International rating agencies had repeatedly given the Bahamas a negative outlook, making borrowing more expensive at precisely the time we needed fiscal flexibility. Meanwhile, the financial services sector, our second largest industry, faced numerous threats. At the time, we were on the precipice of being placed on the European Union's blacklist due to inadequate economic substance reporting frameworks instituted by our predecessors. And we were soon blacklisted because of those missteps. Our country was not yet compliant with the Financial Action Task Force's 40 recommendations, and our legislative framework was unprepared to address global changes in the financial landscape, from the evolution of digital assets to the global push for minimum corporate income taxes. In short, Madam Speaker, we face numerous threats to our financial services sector and our economy. In just a few years, we led a remarkable turnaround. We have grown our economy significantly and reduced our debt to GDP ratio from 100% to below 80%. We also reduced our deficit to GDP ratio to under 2% from 13%. Madam Speaker, this required discipline, fiscal management, and a clear vision for our economic future. We have a lot of work left ahead. We won't be satisfied until we have an economy that is more inclusive, one that offers more opportunities to more Bahamians. We won't be satisfied until we can drive the cost of living down and make sure a life of dignity and security is something all Bahamians can attain. But it's important to recognize the progress we are making as a country. Indeed, our efforts have been noticed by international observers, which is why, for the first time in over 17 years, for the first time, Moody's has given the Bahamas a positive rating outlook. For 17 years, Madam Speaker, international agencies viewed the Bahamas with caution and pessimism. For 17 years. Today, they see promise and potential. And in our financial services sector, we have also made important strides forward. We introduced a comprehensive slate of new and amended legislation to modernize our framework and ensure compliance with evolving international standards. The DARE Act revisions have positioned the Bahamas at the forefront of digital assets regulation, and our implementation of the domestic minimum top-up tax has aligned us with international corporate income tax standards, while creating a valuable new revenue stream from the biggest and wealthiest international corporations. We also corrected the previous administration's missteps in economic substance reporting, securing our removal from the EU's blacklist. Under our watch, Bahamas became just the 6th country in the world to achieve largely compliant status with all 40 FATF recommendations. This is a testament to our commitment to the highest standards of financial transparency and integrity. Madam Speaker, we've also transformed the infrastructure that supports our financial services sector. The Corporate Administrative Registry Service portal has digitalized processes that once required in-person visits and paper forms, and our partitioning of the Registrar General's office into a registrar of records and a registrar of companies has allowed us to dedicate focused resources to modernizing these crucial functions. The world of financial services is changing rapidly. What was innovative yesterday will be obsolete tomorrow. That's why we have stayed nimble, rolling out key amendments to maintain our competitive edge in markets like Brazil, when the once innovative icons became outdated. Overhauling the business license regime for IBCs and updating the regulatory framework for our Securities Commission. This brings me to the 2 bills before us today: the Executive Entities Amendment Bill 2025 and the Banks and Trust Companies Regulation Amendment Bill 2025. These bills represent our ongoing commitment to excellence in regulating our financial services sector by addressing a specific gap in our current framework. Executive entities as established under the Executive Entities Act of 2011, have become an important tool in our wealth management arsenal. They allow for specialized structures that can perform executive functions such as trustee duties and asset management, providing valuable options for succession planning, family wealth structuring, and asset protection. At the time when they were introduced, this was a necessary innovation to meet the needs of local clients. Essentially, executive entities allow individuals to bring individuals of their choosing directly into the wealth management process. In doing so, they benefit from limited liability. They also benefit from complete ability to customize to their specifications with no need for beneficiaries, no need for enforcers or members, introducing much needed simplicity in governance and ownership. This is a relatively cost-effective and straightforward wealth management solution. However, our current regulatory framework provides only indirect oversight of these entities. This is no longer sufficient. The Executive Entities Amendment Bill makes a simple but important change to Section 13 of the Principal Act, ensuring that all executive entities fall under appropriate regulatory oversight, where before it only applied to licensed agents. Making the small change has significant implications for strengthening our regulatory framework, as the central bank will now have direct oversight over these entities. The other bill before us, the Banks and Trust Companies Regulations Amendment Bill, this bill formally defines the concept of a qualified executive entity, or QEE, which is an executive entity that is registered under the Executive Entities Act and meets specific criteria regarding its functions and structure. Under this legislation, QEs will be exempt from full licensing requirements, but must appoint a registered representative and adhere to the same AML, CFT standards as other financial institutions. This includes important know your customer requirements to ensure complete transparency when it comes to all activities and individuals involved, keeping us compliant with the Financial Action Task Force's recommendations. The bill also establishes appropriate fees, which include $5,250 for registration and a $3,750 annual fee. And it applies the same oversight, sanctions, and compliance mechanisms as we currently use for private trust companies. Together, these amendments ensure that the Central Bank of the Bahamas will have direct regulatory oversight of executive entities that function as trustees, while fulfilling an important gap in our regulatory architecture. This change reinforces the Bahamas' commitment to preventing money laundering, combating terrorism financing, and upholding the highest standards of financial integrity. Madam Speaker, we have met and at times even surpassed the highest global standards. While we are committed to meeting international standards, we also recognize that these standards must be developed and applied fairly and consistently across all jurisdictions. That's why I'm particularly proud that our nation has a strong voice on the international stage, pushing for change to the status quo. Our Attorney General, the Honorable Ryan Pinder, represents us on the Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee on the United Nations Framework Convention on International Tax Cooperation. In his capacity, he's playing a crucial role in shaping future international tax cooperation protocols to ensure they're developed and administered fairly, particularly taking into account the views of small island development states. Now, whilst I'm speaking about the Attorney General, Honorable Ripon, I may say his work continues, and he's been quite the advocate for the country, and it's been getting sterling results. I think when we spoke about some financial bills the other day, the member from Anstown indicated.
Not Anstown,
St. Anne's. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that correction. Thank you very much for that correction. Yeah, the demographics so different.
Very different.
Yeah, I think he sought to diminish the efforts and the gain we obtained in having been taken off the EU blacklist by retorting, but you're still on the French blacklist. Remember he said that? Now that's a contradiction in terms, because France is a member of the EU, right? And usually what the EU says goes through to all the jurisdictions. But he was correct. But my Attorney General don't sit down and take these things lightly. And I suspect within the next few days, you'll be hearing from him on that subject matter as to whether or not we are still blacklisted. I can leave that to him. Huh? Yeah. He knows what to say. I am just applauding him and his efforts and the result that he's getting as a result of his advocacy on the part of us in the international community. And so today, Madam Speaker, we continue to demonstrate our willingness and ability to meet compliance standards. We are simultaneously working to ensure that these standards evolve in a fair and balanced way. Our country's progress, Madam Speaker, isn't accidental, and it was not inevitable. Our country's progress is the result of clear vision and strategic action. We are focused on modernization. We enhance transparency and compliance, digital transformation, and strengthening investor confidence to make our financial services sector stronger, more resilient, and better positioned for future growth. In the coming months, we will continue to build on the existing legislative foundation with additional reforms to further strengthen our position as a premier financial services jurisdiction. The bills before us today represent another important step in our journey toward financial services excellence. With their passage, we will strengthen our regulatory framework, enhance our compliance with international standards, and demonstrate our commitment to excellence in regulating the sector. The Executive Entities Amendment Bill 2025 and the Banks and Trust Companies Regulation Amendment Bill 2025 have my full unbridled support. Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Is there a seconder? The Chair recognizes the Honourable Member for Tall.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. And I, too, stand to my feet, first of all, to thank the great people of Tall Pines for the opportunity to serve and to notify them that as we are paving the Fire Trail Road, the inconvenience caused, we understand and we hope to have the road completed in short order because over the years, the amount of heavy trucks eroded many of the areas associated with the passage of these trucks going into the dump site. And I'm so pleased that the member for Central and South Eleuthera assisted me to ensure that that work is completed and done in an excellent fashion. But I rise to support the compendium of bills that is before this honorable House, mainly the Bank and Trust Companies Regulation Amendment Bill 2025 and the Executive Entities Amendment Bill 2025. The Executive Entities Bill is a bill for an act to amend the Executive Entities Act to provide for the regulation and the executive entities by the Central Bank of the Bahamas and for matters associated with it. The Prime Minister went into the details associated with the amendments, particularly in Section 13, and I don't really have much to add to it except that this particular bill will assist the Ministry of Finance in order for us to do a better job in addressing issues associated with these executive entities. Meanwhile, the Bank and Trust Companies Regulation Amendment was also an essential piece of legislation that will give the Ministry of Finance the tools and the mechanisms to be more effective as regulators in this particular aspect. And when we look at Clause 3 of the bill, it makes provision for the amendment of Section 3B of the Principal Act in order to provide for the insertion and the immediate after the word private trust companies of the words qualified executive entities. The two of these bills are pretty much like bread and butter, sister and brother, and they are essential in order for the ministry and for the government to complete its mandate in the financial services sector. Now, I've been around for a long time, and I know the importance of the survival of our financial services sector. And these bills, I classify them to be non-contentious, and I stand to my feet to support what the Prime Minister said and also support the Ministry of Finance in carrying out their mandate for the sector. And so with those few words, Madam Speaker, I support the bills, and I look forward for them being enacted so that we can get on with the business of doing the work that is essential to support private sector to accomplish their goals and objectives, particularly in the financial services sector, and to allow the industry to mature, continue to grow, and develop packages that are attractive for direct foreign investment. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. It has been moved and seconded that the following bill be read a second time and committed. A bill for an act to amend the Executive Entities Act to provide for the regulation of certain executive entities by the Central Bank of the Bahamas and for matters incidental thereto. Asmini? The chair recognizes. The chair recognizes the honourable member for Marco City.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I thank God for this opportunity to once again speak on behalf of the people of Marco City and by extension, Bahamians who wish for us to consistently work on their behalf to help them and their children and their children's children to achieve their dreams and aspirations. I'd like, Madam Speaker, to first extend condolences to a number of families in the Marco City community who've lost loved ones. And once again, to send our prayers up on behalf of the family of Wilfred Barnett, Geronto Roll, Benny Roberts, Pedro Mizik, Lewis Clark, Raheem Monroe, Vanita Simonet, and Nicola Hepburn. Madam Speaker, I rise on behalf of our Parliamentary Caucus, the Free National Movement, to speak on the Banks and Trust Companies Regulation Amendment Bill 2025 and the Executive Entities Amendment Bill 2025. Madam Speaker, these bills at first glance may appear routine and technical in nature, primarily intended to align us with the evolving global standards. But the truth is, even technical bills deserve scrutiny. Even housekeeping amendments must be placed in their broader national context, because lawmaking is not just about compliance, it is about leadership. And leadership, Madam Speaker, is what this country sorely is lacking at the moment. The Bahamian people are watching a government that responds to pressures but does not govern with a sense of purpose. The Davis administration has consistently demonstrated a habit of reactive politics where they prefer to manage optics instead of delivering real solutions that our people need and are crying out for. They act when international institutions threaten consequences, but stall, delay, and defer when Bahamians cry out for the change that they deserve and need. Madam Speaker, we support the legislation that strengthens oversight, updates licensing requirements, and aligns us with international expectations. We are no different than the government in the sense that, Madam Speaker, we believe that there isn't an international playing field. And Bahamians far and wide now know that the international community holds us at a different standard than they hold themselves. And that is a problem. However, the government ought to be intentional in the evaluation of what we do as a country to ensure that we are compliant while we do not give away the competitive edge as a country that has assisted us in becoming a financial services juggernaut. And so we support any effort to join the chorus of nations that are challenging the multilateral organizations who hold us to a different standard than they hold themselves. Just this week, Madam Speaker, there was a study revealed by the IDB that talked about how expensive it is for countries like ours to put in place anti-money laundering legislation without us being certain that it is in fact achieving the outcomes they are designed to achieve. So we have more work in terms of advocacy to carry out. Madam Speaker, but what we do not support is the idea that this tick box compliance exercise amounts to a coherent financial services policy. It does not add up to a useful strategy. We applaud ABIT and the Bahamas Financial Services Board and the entire community of private sector actors who continue to do a wonderful job in sharing best practices that they are aware of or have participated in putting in place around the globe, sharing those at home and engaging policymakers so that we can make the best possible decision for the sector. And so my remarks today in no way seeks to criticize them, but it is to say that the government must be more intentional about its financial services strategic plan. Madam Speaker, just as we have made the point regarding the lack of proper fiscal and economic planning, we must again make the point here regarding the Davis administration ad hoc approach to financial services industry, and in this instance, the international financial sector. Where is the documented strategic plan for the international financial sector that incorporates the view and perspectives of all key stakeholders in the industry? Why are we only seeing a piecemeal legislative adjustments when a substantial refocus is required to ensure that the Bahamas both builds back its market share that we have lost over time and successfully exploit new opportunities? Madam Speaker, the truth is that all jurisdictions which offer service to international financial clients, having faced the same set of compliance and oversight requirements that have been laid on us, particularly by the OECD and other multilateral bodies, all of those countries that have faced similar circumstances, Madam Speaker, have responded in different ways. The question is, those that have been more successful, what has hindered us in our efforts? We look at our regional counterparts in the Cayman Islands and in Bermuda. We have also had to navigate, these same new realities, but appears to have done so in a way that continues to allow them to benefit substantially from lucrative opportunities in the marketplace. Some have even argued that we have given away business to other jurisdictions. The captive insurance market is but one example. And to move away for a second from the financial services sector, we have practically decimated our yachting industry because of the bad decisions by the member for Cat Island in conjunction with the member for tourism and transport, all of those whose portfolios intersect with the yachting sector. 47% shrinkage in that business, Madam Speaker. This is not the product of coincidence or happenstance. Their ability to remain vibrant financial centers is a result of an intentional effort to forge and execute a strategy that permits them to succeed in this ever-changing environment, Madam Speaker. The top international financial centers do not operate, or should not, is a better way to put it, operate in an ad hoc and reactive way. When, with God's help and grace, we form the next government of the Bahamas, my administration, Madam Speaker, will not take this approach. Instead, we will, as a matter of course, ensure structured and ongoing meetings with key industry stakeholders and the regulatory entities that, in fact, shape this sector. And we will work closely with the Central Bank and the Bahamas Securities Commission and continue to collaborate with the Bahamas Financial Services Board and other agencies that are part of the regulatory agencies that exist in our country. Madam Speaker, we believe in working collaboratively. We will develop and execute a clear and documented strategy that will ensure that the Bahamas stays ahead of the regulatory curve in our legislative and policies efforts. Our executed strategy must allow us to build up and maintain the necessary human, digital, and regulatory infrastructure that allow our financial sector to embrace and introduce the product lines and services that build back the market share that we have lost in several key areas. Madam Speaker, we have the talent in this country. We have the right environment, Madam Speaker, to lead once again. What we do lack is sufficient collaboration between policymakers and stakeholders who are often smarter than we are, Madam Speaker, in terms of their engagement in the international community. When we respect them and listen to them consistently, we can often avoid some of the pitfalls that exist in the policy space. Again, Madam Speaker, we have seen little to no evidence of a strategic plan by this administration for the financial services sector. We see no vision for how to expand this sector. No significant investment in the Bahamas workforce to equip them for future opportunities. And for all their talk of developing new products and shouting from their seat, it's not true, entering new markets, they have failed to lead in this regard or becoming global leaders. Precious little has actually been delivered. Rhetoric, plenty. What we have is governance by near autopilot. This administration continues to chase headlines and deliver half measures. It reacts, but seldom leads. And the Bahamian people, especially those outside of New Providence, are paying the price. Madam Speaker, I've been speaking of one glaring example for months in this regard: the collapse of banking services across the Family Islands, Madam Speaker. This crisis has been building, yes, we fully accept, for years. But as a representative on a family island, our second major island, Bahamians have been complaining, and we have stood with them, Madam Speaker, challenging the commercial banks when they have reduced hours, introduced fees, when we felt they have not acted in the best interest of persons who have been losing their largest single investment, their homes. We have stood with them. And so for those who wonder where was our voices, they simply need to go and do the research, Madam Speaker, including, Madam Speaker, the member for Mangrove Key, South and Central Andros, who obviously is now feeling the pain we have been knowing for years, Madam Speaker. For years, commercial banks have pulled out of one island after another. For years, leaving entire communities without access to basic financial services. And under the PLP, this trend has accelerated. Madam Speaker, the member for Mangrove Key, South East and Central Andros now joins the member for Fox Hill, who periodically talks about the challenges we have in the banking sector. The irony, Madam Speaker, is both of them sit in the cabinet. So the interesting thing, Madam Speaker, is they seek to function as activists, which suggests to us, Madam Speaker, that their colleagues are not listening to them, that their colleagues don't share the concern about the challenges that face Bahamians as it relates to the banking system in the country, Madam Speaker. And so it's most unfortunate that in their own cabinet, they are voices crying in the wilderness, Madam Speaker. And so, Madam Speaker, just a few days ago, the member for Central and South Andros spoke out about the Bank of the Bahamas scaling back services in his constituency, Madam Speaker. And there were other family island residents who, when they heard that, they say, "You too?" And again, so we're happy that he will now and has now joined the fight that we've been in for years, Madam Speaker. So he is the latest governing member to find their voice as the political pressure mounts on them individually. Where was the frustration before the cuts began? Where was the outrage when the same thing happened on other islands, when Long Islanders spoke out, when where the member for Kid Island actually represents? Oh, where were they, Madam Speaker? I said it, Madam Speaker, long ago. And I will say it again, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, protect me from them, please. Madam Speaker, protect me from them. I have said it a long time ago. Banking is not a luxury. No, it is a necessity. It is essential for economic opportunity. And so what we are calling for is financial inclusion, and we should do it together. Yet this administration has allowed the situation to deteriorate while it sat on its hands. Let us not forget that the government is the majority shareholder in the Bank of the Bahamas, and surely shareholders have a voice. That means it not only has authority, but it has an obligation to engage other shareholders to ensure that the needs of communities that are underserved are in fact served. But instead of action, what we get is endless statements, Madam Speaker, as they are doing now from their seat, and as they've done occasionally, crying out to the media. Instead of solutions, we get excuses. Instead of leadership, we get slogans. And now, only when the political pressure hits home, and people are asking, where is my MP? Missing in action, their voices are raised, Madam Speaker. But true leadership, Madam Speaker, means acting before the crisis affects your backyard where possible. Not just reacting when it lands on your doorstep. Madam Speaker, we in the F&M have laid recommendations on the table, Madam Speaker. And so, Madam Speaker, just to illustrate the point, and I won't deviate long, Madam Speaker. I remember prior to 2016, when a number of us challenged financial services organizations in Grand Bahama. We were not only committed to challenging them, we were committed to challenging the Mortgage Corporation as well. I remember, Madam Speaker, as an aspirant, retaining a young attorney by the name of James Kwesi Thompson. And in fact, Madam Speaker, I'll just give you the short version. We were able to keep a number of residents in their homes by taking legal action, making sure that we were able prior to 2016. And so, Madam Speaker, we are not new to the struggle. We are not new. This is a continuation of activism that we've been engaged in for years, Madam Speaker. Last August, I outlined a series of proposed banking reforms that would be pursued by my administration. It spoke to the expansion of Bahamian ownership in commercial banking, greater transparency and oversight of banking fees, and the encouragement of more productive lending for home ownership and small businesses. The reforms also include the F&M's plan to bring back banking to underserved Family Islands communities. An incoming Pintard administration, South Andros, will mandate a corporate social responsibility element into the commercial banking and licensing regime. This will require, Madam Speaker, commercial banks in a shared and equitable way to provide for basic banking services in underserved island communities, either themselves or through an agency banking arrangement with other approved authorized financial institutions. It is our hope we can get your support. We understand that the banks must operate profitably, and as such, we will offer tax credits where necessary to offset agreed net costs. We will frame the initiative with the input and involvement of all stakeholders, most importantly, the banks and the Family Island communities. Importantly, we will reset the finances and operational standards of the Post Office Bank. Where possible, current established facilities of the Post Office Bank will be utilized in partnership with the financial institutions so as to optimize the use of resources. We already know, Madam Speaker, that the present post office banking system is inefficient, ineffective, and has caused the Bahamian people a substantial amount of resources. We will reimagine how that is done. Madam Speaker, these are the kinds of steps the PLP refuses to take. They prefer to keep an inefficient, ineffective system, and we don't understand why, but we do have theories. Madam Speaker, while we are committed to mobile money, to the use of sand dollar, we do believe, Madam Speaker, that if we're going to have true family island development, there is a need to provide facilities in these communities that are underserved. So, Madam Speaker, while they deliver stage photos, Bahamians are left unbanked, many unemployed, and many underwater. And make no mistake, the challenges in the financial services sector is a reflection of the wider challenges under the PLP administration. They like to beat their chest even when it is not warranted. And so, Madam Speaker, the member for East Grand Bahama will elaborate on the Moody's and IMF report. Madam Speaker, it is a glaring example of what I've spoken about before. The PLP overpromises and underdelivers. They did so with the hotel in Grand Bahama. They did so with the airport. They did so by touting the record number of cruise passengers without revealing a strategic plan on how to increase stopover visitors, Madam Speaker. There is a trend in how they operate, Madam Speaker. They boast while people suffer. Madam Speaker, we hear the Prime Minister celebrate the tiny decimal point changes in the economic projections, and he keeps coming back to this over and over. And while the member for East Grand Bahama will elaborate on this, Madam Speaker, we wonder why he does not see that while he talks about a decimal change in terms of projected economic growth, why does he not see the thousands of Bahamians that are hungry? Many Bahamians who are home insecure, moving 2 and 3 times in one calendar year from apartment to apartment. Why does he not see the many vendors, small and medium-sized vendors, who cannot be paid because this government seems to be cash-strapped? They cherry-pick, Madam Speaker, who lives and who dies, Madam Speaker. We take no glory.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Exuma and Ragged Island.
I'm going to invite the member for Marco City to withdraw that last remark. It would be the responsible thing to do. He knows, Madam Speaker, that it's wrong. And as a responsible leader of the opposition, he should simply withdraw it, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, honourable member.
Madam Speaker, I had the wonderful opportunity yesterday to be present as the member for Angliston, and our team did an incredible job in releasing a book, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm speaking to the point that he raised, Madam Speaker. And so I believe the member for Exuma is brilliant enough to understand that I was speaking metaphorically. You choose who live and you choose who die. He cherry picks, Madam Speaker.
You can't be selective. Don't be selective, right?
Metaphors are not outlawed in the House. They're not outlawed in the House. Have your seat.
And secondly, he made a statement that this government is cherry-picking who live and who dies. It is absolutely shameful, and he must withdraw it, Madam Speaker, or I ask you to expunge it. It's completely irresponsible.
Metaphorically speaking,
it's not a metaphor.
They choose who gets a contract and who doesn't get a contract.
Right, exactly.
They choose. So, Madam Speaker, let me so I'm not interrupted, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, they choose who's able to have access to a contract and who doesn't get a contract. who gets an opportunity to eat and who doesn't eat. That's what I'm saying. So metaphorically, Madam Speaker,
Honorable members,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Honorable members, now, I would accept when you use determination of contract, but who lives and who dies is a bit extreme for me to leave on the records. But I will accept your latter statement, and I will withdraw who lives and who dies. Okay?
Madam,
I will expand from the record.
Madam Speaker does her job. You should do yours, and stop trying to coach from your chair. Madam Speaker, again, it is important that every Bahamian has equal access to opportunities and to ownership in the Bahamas, Madam Speaker. And this is an administration that cherry picks who have opportunities and who don't have opportunities, Madam Speaker. And we believe, Madam Speaker, that their time is running out, Madam Speaker. And many of the things they're beating their chests up about and patting themselves on the back are no cause for celebration. And still, what we do, Madam Speaker, in the policies that we pass, in the legislation that we bring, have consequences for Bahamians. And so while the member for Fork Hill laughs and cracks jokes, many Bahamians are hurting, Madam Speaker, are food insecure, are housing insecure. It's the same member of Parliament, Madam Speaker, who came to Grand Bahama, Madam Speaker, to represent that he is deeply concerned and wishes to contribute to the transformation of the island, but come back here and say we're talking foolishness about the risk to people's homes and lives and the anxiety they have over losing everything that they have assembled, including their life, because of the fires in Grand Bahama. He was wrong then, Madam Speaker, and he is wrong today, Madam Speaker. He makes light of our suffering, Madam Speaker.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Fox Hill.
You pull me back in. Now I'm back in. And the fighting spirit. Don't mischaracterize what I said. You're the one who say I shouldn't be in Grand Bahama because I'm from Nassau, but you were down in Exuma. What you doing there? The man from Grand Bahama. What you doing there? Huh? And in Nassau. What are you doing in Grand Bahama at all? Because he's from Nassau. You're talking foolishness, man. But don't mischaracterize what I said. Don't mischaracterize what I said. You know?
Taking photo Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, I'm so grateful, Madam Speaker, that for the team that is responsible for the Hansard, because clearly what the member for Fox Hill said is inaccurate. But thank God for this, and so we could fact check him later on. So Madam Speaker,
the chair recognizes the honourable member for Fox Hill.
That people from Nassau should not be in Grand Bahama making comments about what's happening in Grand Bahama. He said it out of his own mouth. He said it out of his own mouth. All I'm saying is, by that same reasoning, he should not be in Nassau talking about things in Nassau. He shouldn't be down in Exuma looking at the boat race. He shouldn't even be in Grand Bahama. Shouldn't be talking about nothing if that's the logic which works. All I said to the member on this occasion is don't mischaracterize what I said. I was making fun of him. That's the point. Not making fun of people's how people live and the problems which they have. Those are serious issues. But he is an object of fun as far as I'm concerned. A comedian at work.
Participate in your fun, my brother. Never, ever. No, I'm saying, listen, what I'm saying to you, don't talk about fun and me. No, listen to me. Just calm down, young man. I want you to calm down. No, just calm down, relax. Madam Speaker, calm. Get the member to comport himself, to behave in a responsible. No, sir, I didn't intend. Relax. Oh, my. Oh.
Honourable members.
What is going on? What is going on with you? Relax.
Members.
We have young people that are watching. Relax. No, why don't you relax? No, sir. Yes. Yeah. Relax and have a seat. Relax. Well, feel free. Relax. relax and have a seat. Madam Speaker, you will. Go ahead. Yes. Yeah. Oh my! You should relax, man. This is not unbecoming. It's unbecoming. It's unbecoming.
Members.
I ain't hear a word. Hey, Foxel, I ain't hear a word in yes.
Metaphorically speaking, I have to expunge that from the records.
Madam.
But I ain't porking head for a long time.
Madam Speaker, there's one of the challenges we have with the high rate of crime in the country, Madam Speaker, and I trust you have expunged everything that the member had to say on his feet, Madam Speaker. That's correct? The unparliamentary language, Madam Speaker?
Be consistent.
Just for the sake, I want to be clear on that you're expunging everything that the member had to say in that last diatribe.
That I would expunge the statement that he made about porking and head.
So again, Madam Speaker, the anger that we have in the country is largely contributing, Madam Speaker, to the level of homicide and violence. And it's most regrettable that an honorable member of the House would engage in that kind of anger, Madam Speaker, that led to him speaking in an unparliamentary manner and a threat, Madam Speaker, a threat, Madam Speaker. It is most unfortunate, it is most unfortunate, Madam Speaker. And so it is my hope, Madam Speaker, that the violent language that the member is using is most unbecoming. So I'd like to finish, Madam. I'd like to finish my presentation, Madam Speaker. He should comport himself and be responsible. Madam Speaker, much of what they celebrate is not cause for celebration. And so, Madam Speaker, what do we see from this government? More announcement, groundbreaking, things that they are unlikely to get to or certainly would not be complete over the course of the next year. More talk. Well, Madam Speaker, Bahamians are tired of their talk. They want action from this government. They want leadership. And above all, they want results, Madam Speaker. We in the Free National Movement are committed to building a financial sector that is innovative, inclusive, and anchored in Bahamian talent and ambition. We will work with all stakeholders, Madam Speaker, consistently so that we can design the best products in a timely fashion to claw back what we have lost in the international arena. That means regulation that protects and not stifles. That means opportunity for all, not just for the well-connected, Madam Speaker. That means leadership that will get ahead of the challenges, not the ones that wait for international pressures to act. And so, yes, Madam Speaker, we will support efforts that improve compliance and accountability. But let this House be clear, this government has not done enough. And until it does, Madam Speaker, we will continue to hold them accountable and fight for the better future of every Bahamian, regardless of political color, from Grand Bahama, Ragged Island, Bimini, all the way to Inagua. That is the fight that we have signed up for, Madam Speaker. We just wish for members opposite to be a part of that fight.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The chair recognizes the honourable member for Central Grand Bahama. I have already recognized you.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much. Madam Speaker and colleagues, I stand here on the good graces of the people of Central Grand Bahama. And I want to invite, this one isn't working. I want to invite the entire country to join me on Saturday in Grand Bahama at the Round Memorial Hospital, and I thank the member for Tall Pines and his team for agreeing to accommodate me on this Saturday as I celebrate my 60th in Freeport. The idea is to undertake a major blood drive at the Round Memorial Hospital, and those of you watching by way of television or by any social media means, the blood drive will start at 10 o'clock and end at 2 p.m. sharp. And the intention is to raise at least 60 pints of blood. That is much needed for our healthcare facility. We also asking persons to drop off supplies to the hospital, and they give me a short list of cardiac monitors, thermometers, glucometers machine, bedside tables, bed trolleys, blankets, pillows, infusion pumps, etc. And we also have quite a bit of supplies of Pampers and baby wipes and moisturizing cream. As an incentive to those persons who are giving, Madam Speaker, we've purchased quite a number of prizes, with the main prize being a 65-inch smart TV. Persons who would have donated blood, they'll receive 2 tickets, 2 chances to win that smart TV. And persons who would have brought in any sort of gift, you get 1 ticket. So if you bring in a ticket and you give blood, you probably have 4 chances to win that smart TV among other prizes. And we'll have supplies of Vitamalt, Triple Bs, apple juice, and fruits and so forth for those persons donating blood. So once again, we want to invite the entire country, and those in Grand Bahama in particular, because even today as I open up my newspaper and my other social media platforms, I'm seeing persons begging, pleading for blood. So it's a very worthwhile undertaking this Saturday, and I would invite the entire country, particularly those persons in Grand Bahama, to participate in this very, very worthwhile initiative. Madam Speaker, I rise again on behalf of the good people of Central Grand Bahama to briefly address the Bank and Trust Companies Regulation Amendment Bill 2025. While the stated intent of the bill is to update the regulatory framework for bank and trust companies, a critical analysis, short critical analysis revealed several what I consider shortcomings where we need to make adjustments, in my view, to serve in the best interest of everyday Bahamians. Madam Speaker, before delving into the critique, let me briefly summarize my understanding of the bill. The proposed amendment to the Banks and Trust Companies Regulation Act 2020 primarily seeks to bring executive entities under the regulatory purview of the central bank, include foundations within the central bank's regulatory regime, specifically concerning registered representatives offering foundation agent services, define and introduce new terms such as corporate service provider, executive entity agent, and qualified executive entity. Specifically, who can act as a registered representative, empower the central bank to impose sanctions on qualified executive entities, and to introduce a schedule of fees for qualified executive entities. Madam Speaker, again, like I said, I want to point out some issues that exist in my opinion. While these amendments address specific regulatory gaps, they largely overlook the pressing concerns of the everyday Bahamian. Here are some of the weaknesses that I want to point out. This bill lacks of direct benefits to the average citizens. The bill's focus is primarily on regulating entities involved in the financial services sector. It does not contain any provisions that directly translate to tangible benefits to the average Bahamian who is struggling with the high cost of living, limited access to affordable credit, and financial exclusion. Financial inclusion, Madam Speaker, remains a significant challenge in our nation. The bill misses an opportunity to promote greater access to banking services, particularly for marginalized communities and small businesses. There are no provisions to encourage banks and trust companies to offer basic banking accounts, microloans, or other financial products tailored to the needs of low-income individuals. The Bahamian people faces exorbitant, Madam Speaker, exorbitant banking fees for even the most basic transaction. And at the end of every month, when I see my bank statement, it causes me cringe. This bill is silent on this critical issue. It does not mandate the central bank to regulate or cap these fees, leaving citizens at the mercy of commercial banks. Madam Speaker, While the bill strengthens the regulations of certain financial entities, it does not significantly enhance consumer protection measures, in my view. There are no new provisions to protect bank customers from unfair practices, predatory lending, or unauthorized transaction. Madam Speaker, in this bill, there's limited focus on economic diversification. Our economy is highly reliant on the financial services sector. While regulating this sector, the bill does not promote economic diversification or create opportunities for Bahamians in other industries. It fails to leverage the financial sector to support the growth of small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, in areas such as agriculture, tourism, and technology. Madam Speaker, I do have some recommendations to improve on what is in front of us, and here they are. Introduce a chapter on financial inclusion. This chapter should mandate banks and trust companies to offer basic banking accounts with minimal fees, provide microfinance options for small businesses, and establish branches or agencies in underserved communities. We hear about it on a regular basis from those on the Family Island. Long Island consistently preach, and other small communities are begging for it. We are to establish a regulatory framework for banking fees, empower the central bank to regulate and cap banking fees, Madam Speaker, to ensure affordability and fairness to all consumers. This framework should include transparency requirements, allowing customers to easily compare fees across different institutions. Include provisions that enhance consumer protections, Madam Speaker. This is important, such as establishing a recommendation, a financial ombudsman to resolve disputes between customers and financial institutions, implementing stricter regulations on predatory lending practices, mandating clear and transparent disclosures of terms and conditions for financial products and services, incentivize lending to SMEs, introduce measures to encourage banks and trust companies to lend to SMEs in priority sectors. This could include providing, of course, tax incentives for loans to qualified SMEs, establishing a government-guaranteed scheme to reduce the risk of lending to SMEs, creating specialized financial products tailored to the needs of SMEs. Madam Speaker, we ought to include provisions for financial literacy programs to educate Bahamians on budgeting, on savings, on investing, and of course in managing debt. This will empower citizens to make informed financial decisions and improve their overall financial well-being. Madam Speaker, the Bank and Trust Companies Regulation Amendment Bill 2025, in its current form, in some instances, is a missed opportunity to address the pressing financial challenges faced by the everyday Bahamians. By incorporating the amendments I have proposed, we can transform this bill into legislation that not only strengthens the regulatory framework, but also promotes financial inclusion, protects consumers, and fosters economic growth that benefits all citizens of the Bahamas. Madam Speaker, I urge this Parliament to carefully consider these recommendations and work together to create a financial system that truly serves the needs of our people. Madam Speaker, as I come to close, I would like to speak to Grand Bahama and the unique challenges that we have faced. Madam Speaker, as we deliberate on the Bank and Trust Companies Regulation Amendments Bill 2025, it is imperative that we consider the unique and pressing challenges faced by the residents of Grand Bahama. This island, which has historically been a vital economic engine, and it's facts, for our nation, has endured significant hardship in recent years. And it is our duty to ensure that this legislation contributes to its revitalization. Madam Speaker, Grand Bahama faces a confluence of critical issues that demand our focused attention. Economic stagnation and unemployment. Following major hurricanes and global economic downturns, Grand Bahama has experienced prolonged economic stagnation and high unemployment rates. Many residents struggle to find stable jobs and economic opportunities. leading to financial hardship and social strain. Madam Speaker, the island's infrastructure has suffered setbacks with lingering damages to roads, which is a fact, to utilities and public facilities. This not only hampers daily life, but also deters investment and hinders economic recovery. Small businesses and entrepreneurs in Grand Bahama often face significant challenges in accessing financing to start or expand their operations. This lack of access to capital stifles innovations and limits economic diversification. Madam Speaker, it is known that Grand Bahama, like Abaco, sits in the hurricane corridor. Grand Bahama's geographic location makes it highly vulnerable to hurricanes and other natural disasters. Building resilience and ensuring access to financial resources for recovery are crucial for the island's long-term recovery and sustainability. Madam Speaker, while the current bill does not explicitly address these issues, we can amend it to incorporate provisions that will specifically benefit Grand Bahama and other islands. I propose a Grand Bahama Economic Revitalization Fund. I propose the establishment of a Grand Bahama Economic Fund as administered by the Central Bank. This fund will provide low-interest loans and grants to small businesses and entrepreneurs in Grand Bahama with a focus on key sectors such as tourism, renewable energy, and of course technology. Infrastructure development bonds. The bill could authorize the issuance of special infrastructure development bonds specifically earmarked for Grand Bahama. These bonds will attract investment for critical infrastructural projects such as upgrading roads, ports, seawalls, and utilities, creating jobs and improving the island's overall economic environment. And in this case, Madam Speaker, we've all been asking for infrastructural upgrade in our communities. I've been begging for the dock, along with other members in Waterkey and Sweetingskey, for years now, to no avail. And I'm hoping that soon, very soon, we will see a change. Recognizing Grand Bahama's vulnerability, we should include provisions for disaster-resilient financing. This will involve creating a disaster relief fund to provide immediate financial assistance to residents and businesses affected by natural disasters, incentivizing the development of resilient infrastructure that could withstand extreme weather events, like the Smiths Point seawall. And I was there over the weekend, Madam Speaker, as I get close to close, and as I pointed out to the previous Minister of Works and to the now Minister of Works, that seawall, which is a defense wall that protected our community and proved that it is worthwhile, is now falling apart. The top rail, if you look at it from the land side, it's turning brown. If you look at it from the sea side, it is rusted completely, about to fall away. We have an opportunity to fix that. So I want to again bring it to the attention of the minister to please have a team, if you haven't done so already, to go in there and access that seawall to see how we can fix it or repair it before it falls apart. And what could cause us tens of thousands of dollars could end up causing us millions if you do not take it under hand now. Promoting the availability of affordable insurance products that covers disaster-related losses is important. Targeted financial literacy programs. We should mandate the central bank to implement targeted financial literacy programs specifically designed for Grand Bahama and other family islands. These programs will empower residents with the knowledge and skills to manage their finances, access credit, and of course, to build wealth. Madam Speaker, the Bank and Trust Companies Regulations Amendment Bill 2025 presents an opportunity for all of us to not only strengthen our financial sector, but also to address the unique and urgent needs of our country. By incorporating these targeted amendments, we can demonstrate our unwavering commitment to the people of Grand Bahama and the Bahamas and pave the way for a brighter, more resilient future for the island. Let us, in this place, rise to this challenge and enact legislation that truly serves the best interests of all Bahamians. Madam Speaker, Central Grand Bahama supports the recommendations as noted. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The Chair recognizes the Honourable Member for East Grand Bahama. The Chair recognizes the Honourable Member for Freetown.
Madam Speaker, at this time, I rise to move that the House to suspend business to Wednesday, the 7th of April at 10 a.m.
May.
Second.
7th of May, sorry. Can't go back in time. The 7th of May at 10 a.m.
Second.
Thank you, honorable members. It has been moved and seconded that the business of this House be suspended until 7th of May, 2025 at 10 a.m. As many are in favor will remain seated. Those opposed will stand. The motion is carried. The business of this House stands suspended until 7th of May, 2025 at 10 a.m.
All rise.